Well, I welcome all of you to our special live event hosted by Vegan Leaders in Corporate Management. Today, we are going to cover a topic that drives many corporate and vegan crazy, and I hope you will leave this session with some really useful knowledge of how to successfully talk about vegan ideas in your workplace. I'm going to be the first of the three speakers today. We are going to move through our content very quickly, and we are going to cover this topic from honestly completely different angles. So hopefully each of you will take something away that resonates with you. During this meeting, we probably are not going to have time for live questions, but we would like to ask all of you, please, anytime between now and end of the event, any thoughts, questions you have, please just put them in a chat. After this meeting, we are going to download that chat and make sure to reply to all of the questions properly. And otherwise, if you are ready, let's get started.
Darina, you're on mute, I'm afraid.
Really? Can you not hear me?
Now we can.
Oh, okay. Let me try one more time. Great. We are using a web Zoom application today, which behaves slightly differently from what we are used to from the desktop. So please bear with us if we run into any unexpected glitches. I'm going to talk for about 10 minutes, and what I really would like to cover with you is these 6 elements. We'll start with some mental conditioning for this topic, and then really we'll talk about what it is that you could go and pitch or sell at your companies as far as vegan improvements. And then I will really take you through the process of how to prepare and how to do that pitch. There are going to be some pretty, obvious things said, but oftentimes we forget about them. So let me just get started. The first thing that really blows my mind about this topic is how, to many of us, it is just absolutely daunting to approach our manager or our colleagues with a vegan sales pitch. So why is it? And I really do think it comes down to 2 reasons. One is we just sort of shy away from doing it. So by not giving ourselves the practice, we don't easily get better at it. And the second thing is, I think, even more powerful. To many of us, this topic is so important that it almost freezes us. And we end up either just not doing anything, never talking about it in the workplace, or overdoing it. And frankly, ruining the outcome by being a little too intense and a little too zealous in the conversation. So the trick is to really take a step back and, become comfortable talking about this topic normally. And what I think is really, really important is to shift your way of thinking about this topic. Instead of seeing these pitches or these conversations as something you have to win, or otherwise it's a huge embarrassment, don't worry about it. Your goal is to really start a conversation with as many people at your company as possible, and not worry about whether they will give you a quick yes or if it just plants some seeds. Honestly, if you meet with somebody to talk about the vegan project and you walk away from that meeting with a conceptual kind of agreement, treat it as a bonus. Now, let me say a couple more things about this mental conditioning. It's really important, just like if you approach your manager asking them for a raise or asking for a different assignment, just be normal. Be kind of humble and realize that you do not really have a position of power to force vegan ideology on anyone. But at the same time, what you are asking for is completely reasonable and probably something that other employees are asking for about causes that are important to them. It's very important to be kind of curious and actually use that conversation as an opportunity to understand how this kind of topic is viewed by somebody who is not vegan. That is extremely useful. Sometimes, as I said, we are so attached to this vegan identity that we forget what it would be like if somebody else was approaching, let's say, us from the other side, pitching some other personal cause that they have. Let's say some religious event, or supporting some kind of cause in Africa. If that person approached you or their manager, what would make it successful? It would not be coming to that conversation with a righteous attitude and overwhelming the person with like facts and statistics and like why it is important to do it. They would just start a conversation and say something like, I was wondering if our company could do something to support this. This fits so well with other charitable things we are doing. What do you think about it? And this point is so important. I feel like so many vegans who kind of want to talk about this topic at work obsess too much over how to make the ethical argument. Trust me, the other side knows the ethical argument, and they get defensive when they get pushed on it. So no need to even talk about it much. But what sometimes people completely forget about, which is really the important part, is what would this project look like? So the practical aspect. What would this initiative actually look like? What is it that we are asking for? So now let's talk for a second about what it is that you could actually present to your companies as vegan ideas. Now, thankfully, we're not starting from scratch. We actually recently asked 70 corporate vegans at different companies what kind of vegan success they would like to see the most. And these were the top 7 ideas. Number 1 by far was improving the vegan offerings in cafeteria. And then some of the other ones touches different angles. You see that there are kind of different things. Some of them are more awareness building. Some of them is one-time event or kind of one-time change to something. We will share this material with you afterwards if you are attending. So please don't worry about writing these down. But I would say just pick one of these as your idea that would fit best at your company. So now, here is basically what you would have to do. It's a super simple 3-step homework to prepare for your vegan pitch. The first is to just pick one specific thing. So let's say from the list of 7, pick one, and then a second step, really think through what it would look like. So for example, if your idea is to get your company to participate in Veganuary, think about like, what does it actually mean to participate in Veganuary? Do you need sign-offs from 5 leaders in your department? Does the company need to fill in some kind of form? Is it just a permission to bring some vegan materials to the company and post them in cafeteria for 1 month? So really kind of understand what it is that would be involved. And number 3, of course, just identify who it is that you would need to talk to, which based on your pursuits, it could be your boss, it could be office services lead, it could be dining director, it could be just vastly different. And honestly, most of us are not natural self-organizers. So almost like a step 0 you should do is to find somebody with whom you will set up a weekly meeting to talk about this idea. You can reach out to any of us today or some vegan colleague at your company or drop a note in a vegan leaders forum. Somebody will be happy to meet with you. And honestly, this will just create a structure, a cadence for you to keep thinking about and developing your idea. Next thing you know, it's a reality. Next thing I'd like to talk about is something that I accidentally discovered in my professional life, and it blew my mind. I realized that I was repeatedly agreeing to asks if somebody came to me, and it basically looked like this. Somebody would just sit me down and directly ask a favor, and I would almost helplessly in that moment say yes. And immediately I would start kind of rationalizing why it is a good decision to do that. What's really incredible here is before that conversation, I was absolutely determined to say no. Maybe I have actually said that ask, I have seen that ask in an email, and I was perfectly okay to just ignore it. But something very powerful happened once somebody actually met with me, looked me in the eye, and asked me for a favor. It's almost honestly psychologically impossible at that moment to say no. So flip that script and be the other person, and you will see with amazement how often the other person will simply say yes to you on the spot. 2 very important things. It doesn't matter at all if your pitch was flawless. It can be slightly awkward. It just has to be kind of genuine. It is okay to be humble and approach that person almost like for help. It also doesn't matter if the person you're talking to is already aware what you're going to pitch. If you just look them in the eye and make that ask directly, it almost helps for them to be primed and to say yes. Please keep this in mind. This only works face to face. So if you try to cheat and do this by email, you will see that the other person finds it super easy to disregard your ask. And also, you need to ask for what you want directly. So do not beat around the bush. Do not just give hints or do not kind of talk very indirectly, because again, that is not powerful. That person can just as easily then talk around it. You have to say, I would like to ask for your support with X. I'm thinking of putting this together, and I would like for you to help me today to figure out what I need to do. If you say it explicitly like that, again, the other person almost has no choice but to say yes. And by the way, do not kind of necessarily come to that very first meeting with a big presentation. You can, but sometimes that even takes away from that kind of person-to-person connection. To me, the presentation is better as a follow-up. That's something you can send to your person afterwards to review on their own, to just strengthen the argument. So from my perspective, this is what I have seen to work. And now let me share with you a couple very handy phrases for how you actually say what you are asking for. And it kind of has two sides. Now, these are very fluid. Sometimes, the what and why come together, but I try to kind of organize it this way just so it's easier for you. So to me, these 6 ways are what you can just mix and match, and that's where you just plug your ask into. This works like magic. Once again, we are going to share this deck with you afterwards, so don't worry about memorizing this now, but just pick something that kind of comes natural, try to memorize it, and then when you are in that meeting, just basically replace this with your ask. You should focus on what it is that you are asking for, but it doesn't hurt to explain a little bit why this is good for the company, but please do not get into the moralistic arguments that if anything is going to sort of make the other person shut down. Instead, talk about it in the same way as some other person would be pitching some other cause, like, hey, if this is a wellness event, environmental event, would it make sense to make the menu plant-based? I think it would look good for our company to get behind this. And, as an employee who cares about the environment, I would like to see more of this. So be kind of soft, be diplomatic, and almost like indirectly talk about why the company should do it and why the other person should support this. This is a good one to say, instead of you like having to rattle off some boring statistics, you can just tell them, hey, this seems like this is a huge trend right now. Let me send you some examples from other companies. Now, once again, please try to think about no as just a step in the process, but here are some phrases of how you can very skillfully continue the discussion if the person gives you the first no. As an example, please memorize this sentence, even if the person gives you a straight no, and then say, you know what, please tell me more about your concern. Please tell me what about this idea you think would be difficult. How could we work around it? So anyway, I think my time is up. And what we are going to next is for all of you to actually network together. So we are going to divide you into smaller groups. And in that smaller group, please just start a discussion with each other. Each of you should just share in 90 seconds very quickly which kind of vegan idea, vegan pursuit could be possible at your company. So that's just the ask. Brainstorm. If you don't have any great idea, just say, I don't have a great idea. How about you guys? That's perfectly okay. But if that works, let's do that next. So I'm now going to put you all in breakout groups, and we have, I think, enough people to create 6 groups. Okay. Please, if you see a little join button on your screen, please just click it and it will take you to the group. Gathering. Great. Our next speaker is going to be Jana. And one thing I'll say, the reason we are having this session today is because Jenna contacted me almost a year ago, and she said, hey, I put together this vegan sales pitch deck to use at my company, and I just wanted somebody else to see it and see if it could be made any better. It was so mind-blowingly great what she put together that we just said, well, why don't we just share this with others? So if you are back with us, Jenna, please, floor is
I
yours.
am. Thank you. Well, also thank you for letting me be part of this cool event. I'm a sustainability expert, and I'm part of a sustainability department of a large retail company, and I've also consulted climate initiatives of the World Bank in the past. And before I would start with the slide deck, I just wanted to mention on how I found the Vegan Leaders in Corporate Management initiative. So I was preparing a comprehensive presentation for a plant-based initiative within organizations, and I was looking for examples of other companies and organizations that are already pioneers in that regard. And it was a bit hard to find examples. And I think in part, it's also because a lot of organizations just kind of adapt their internal food policies silently without making a big deal out of it, because at least in German-speaking countries, the topic of reducing meat consumption is highly emotional. So yeah, while Googling for examples, I stumbled across this this initiative, and I contacted Arena, and I was like, hey, do you maybe have some examples of other companies, and do you have some more resources? And so that they didn't have too many resources. And I was like, well, I'm preparing this very comprehensive presentation right now. And if you want to, I can share it with you afterwards, so that you can share it with other vegans or also environmentalists that want to drive that topic and drive positive change. Because, you know, since I'm a sustainability expert, it's kind of easy to get like all the environmental climate background. And I also found some really cool initiatives while doing the research. So I thought it would be helpful, you know, to have all relevant sources at a glance and to be able to use them quickly. So let me just share my screen real quick. All right, so this is the presentation. Oh no, wait. So this is the presentation that I've gathered, and that's going to be shared with all of you after this event. So, you know, first of all, it consists obviously of the sustainability relevance of the plant-based topic, also food sustainability in general. It's talking about the health relevance, business relevance, including some examples of large organizations and companies that are driving that topic, and it includes first steps to reduce emissions. So we don't have the time to really go through all the details here, and you also will have the time afterwards to just read through it. But I just wanted to highlight some facts from it. So here are all the sustainability facts, and what I wanted to show you is that actually I have included here a graphic that is coming straight from the IPCC report on the mitigation potential of different dietary patterns, and it's really showing that the vegan diet has the largest potential to mitigate emissions compared to other sustainable diets. So I think that's something that's quite impressive. And then I also wanted to highlight something that maybe a lot of people from you haven't heard of yet. And this is about the carbon opportunity costs of our diet. So, you know, if in a utopian world we would all switch to a vegan diet, we would have a lot of land available that we could use to renaturate, so to like grow forests or renaturate peatlands again. And that would enable us to really compensate a lot of emissions that we are currently causing from other sectors. And scientists have calculated on how much emissions we could compensate that way, and turned out that we could compensate 55% of our annual emissions coming from fossil fuels yearly if we would all turn vegan and would renaturate that land. So I think that really shows how massive the impact is. And it's, you know, these are kind of numbers that I used here that really highlight the importance. So I've also kind of gave some facts about the health relevance of plant-based or also plant-rich diets. I think you're pretty aware of it, but here, all the studies are linked here. So you could always, just dive deeper into the topics. Of course, I mentioned the, planetary health diet here as well, which is bringing these two topics together. And now I also, added like an example of how you could calculate the amount that an employer has to spend on sick leave and how this amount could be reduced. I mean, this is obviously using numbers from the German market, but maybe you find numbers from the market that your company is in to just show like in an economic relevance here of that topic too. Of course, it's just all an estimation. And then going further, here are some examples of what some big companies are doing. And what I wanted to highlight here is two things. So first of all, there's an initiative which was founded by the World Resource Institute and also in cooperation with the UN. And it's called the Cool Foods Initiative. And it's kind of addressing big corporations and organizations that offer food internally or externally and that commit to lower their food's emission, I think it was like 30% by empowering for a plant-rich diet and cutting out emission-intensive food. So a lot of companies have already signed for that commitment, and among them even Harvard University, the World Bank, and IKEA. And I think that's also an initiative that would be something to consider because big names always draw attention and kind of show, okay, there's already pioneers here. Maybe we as a company should go a similar path as well. And then I also included a case study from PwC. I think that's a company that most of you would know. So, here they describe exactly what they've done internally to drive the topic of plant-based diets and also the success of it. And I think that's also a really good example of what other companies do. And then I kind of highlight next steps. So first of all, I also included on how plant-based food requirements, plant-based food actually meets very diverse food requirements as well. So that's also something to consider. And at the end of my presentation, I kind of highlight the first steps organizations could take to reduce emissions. So they obviously have different options. So here you can see that if they decide to just cut out beef and lamb, they would already reduce 20% of their food-related emissions. And then here you can see the different other options they would have. And obviously the idea is to also kind of go forward with the whole plant-based topic as well. I mean, at the end, structures and also openness within organizations really differ a lot. So you might have the chance to kind of prepare a strategy with some background info, but you might also just have a chance to kind of hand in a one-pager with everything at a glance. So, we will share the slide deck with you that you could use freely. You could just use it as it is, or you pick out some information that would be useful for you, use it within your corporate presentation style, whatever, it's like really free to use. In case you need a one-pager, I'm also going to be sharing a one-pager with you just to really facilitate that. Because generally my idea was to facilitate positive change. And I think when large organizations decide to take on responsibility regarding the food that they offer, that could really create some positive impact. And as scientists highlight, the dietary transition really is the biggest task of the next years when it comes to the crisis of the climate and also biodiversity crisis. And then furthermore, I really propose to organizations to also offer trainings on food sustainability to their employees to raise awareness, because in my experience, a lot of people are not aware on how important that topic is and how a lot of things are connected and related to each other, because there's so much, there's like regional food choices, organic food choices, and people are a bit confused. And once I present to them certain numbers, they really, understand why it's actually so important. So that's really a suggestion that you know, you could also inspire your employer or your organization, yeah, to kind of offer these kind of trainings. And I'm also giving these kind of trainings in food sustainability. So feel free to invite me over, but also feel free to reach out if you have any questions related to the science, sustainability background. With that, I'm done with my part.
Notice how Jenna put together slides that are so catchy. They are almost like clickbait ad. Like, I mean it in the best possible sense. Like, the complicated point is made with a visual in a powerful way. So I think many people in the audience are going to be very excited to get this presentation afterwards. And with that, we will be shifting to the third speaker today, Kasia, who will cover this topic from a completely new angle. Kasia, please take it away.
Yes, thank you, and hello everyone. I will shortly present my slides. Lovely. Yeah, Diana, thank you so much. Amazing presentation. Even though I'm very, very into the topic, I could learn a lot from what you presented. I'm gonna use some of the slides in my upcoming discussions in the office, maybe even tomorrow. And Darina, thank you so much for invitation to be part of this beautiful meeting. Briefly presenting myself, my name is Kasia. I'm a marketer and strategist on a mission of driving more sustainable and healthier food choices. But long story short, still a few years ago, I worked for Burger King. Yeah, what a journey. I used to say that the more Whoppers I was selling, the less meat I was eating, to the point I became a vegan activist. I really understood the food and meat impact on the environment, health, society, and animal welfare, and I couldn't continue the Burger King journey anymore. And I decided to dedicate my time to drive the positive change within the food system. Also, from my Burger King perspective, I realized how difficult it is to go vegan sometimes, because we are simply not exposed to the right information. We don't talk to the right people, we don't join the right events, and we simply don't understand what's behind our food choices. That's why I really appreciate what vegan leaders are doing, and what everyone who's on the call today is doing to change that situation. And I think that also Darina invited me for a call today because I'm so motivated that I'm quite successful as a vegan in a workplace. And I'm happy to present to you how I do it and what I do it. And maybe you're going to find a bit of an inspiration to continue in your day-to-day job. So first of all, I always say I'm vegan and I'm friendly, because I believe that people don't need to be vegan to like me. I spoil all my colleagues with vegan sweets. It's the most important thing I do every day. I bring a lot of vegan food to the office. I talk to my colleagues, I approach them always with a smile, positive messaging. I high five whenever they choose a vegan or vegetarian lunch in the canteen instead of meat. I invite them for lunches, dinners, bring external speakers, and do a lot of nice, interesting things in the office just to engage them in a topic in a very friendly way. I also hardly ever talk about going vegan. And instead, I talk about more sustainable choices, about healthier choices, about planetary health diet, about benefits of cutting on meat, protein transition, changing diets, food inclusivity, because I learn what was said before by Darina as well, that if I approach people with my vegan propaganda and the fact that everyone all the time should be vegan, it closes a lot of doors. I always say that I bring data, not drama, and I try to convince people to take first step before we move forward. and I focus on the sustainability and health, don't really talk about the animal welfare, even though I believe that the ethical reasons are the strongest one for us to be vegan. I know that within the corporate environment, it's not necessarily the best and the most successful topic to be brought. Otherwise, I have some one-on-one conversation, and then I'm able to discuss it a little bit more with my peers. And I also decided to build my personal brand around being vegan. I very often say that I'm vegan and proud. Everyone in the office knows I'm vegan. I walk through the office and a building in the vegan t-shirts. I talk about that a lot. I do a lot outside of my work. I attend a lot of conferences. I volunteer for NGOs. I learn and upskill. I post all the time on LinkedIn with some interesting vegan and food related insights. I share all the news and reports with my colleagues all the time. So whenever they see me on a corridor, they don't call me Kasia anymore, they call me vegan. But as I'm so friendly and I'm so open-minded and welcoming and inclusive what I do, they really welcome it with a smile and with a very positive approach. That's why I managed to launch quite a few vegan-related initiatives in my workplace. And I will focus on the things I'm doing from the internal engagement, but just to let you know, still a few years ago, I was a typical marketer working on a specific brand or a market. And I managed to be so about vegan in a workplace that they even let me to create a job for myself, and I'm leading now the strategy of more sustainable and healthier choices for my work. So I not only do the internal communication, I do things outside from B2C and B2B perspective, but as the meeting is about the workplace, this is what I'm gonna cover. First of all, I never miss any calendar opportunity. So I believe that it's much easier to sell the vegan initiatives if there's something big happening on a market and other brands are jumping on the opportunity, like the Meat-Free Week, World Health Day, Veganuary, Earth Day, etc. I even prepare a calendar with 7 key moments that I post on the Vegan Leaders in Corporate Management LinkedIn. So if you don't follow us, please do and check the calendar because it's there. You can save it and then share with your sustainability or internal engagement team to jump on those opportunities. And what I do whatever is in my capacity in the given moment. So from the simple intranet articles I shared with my colleagues, through dedicated events to even B2C campaigns. Also to make it more engaging and not to make me talking about food choices all the time, I do my best to invite many external speakers to my office. I cooperated already with brands like Oatly, ProVeg, Veganuary, Vegetarian Butcher, and a few more. And I need to say that the brands are usually very open and very often they come to the office for free to share their insights, knowledge, engage my colleagues, bring some free samples, do quizzes for them, and talk about the sustainable food choices. And this is very easy going and fun way to upskill my colleagues on the topic. Also, to make it tasty, I invite many plant-based brands to our office. So they sample, they create dedicated dishes for us, they give away merch, they come, people working for these brands are coming to the office to talk about what they do, how they do it, engage my colleagues during the lunch hours, and this is working very, very well. And my colleagues are always positively surprised how good and tasty the vegan food was that day. Also, to help my peers make more informed choices, I test carbon labeling. So I put the carbon ratings next to the dishes in our canteen, but also the corporate events to help them make more informed choices, to understand that there is a different impact from a chicken burger and a different impact from a sandwich with falafel, to see if we're gonna navigate, how we're gonna navigate within the food choices. I also added protein transition and carbon labeling topics to our corporate event guidelines and similar. So all my colleagues are more and more often exposed to similar activities. And also to educate them, I very often give away books. So whenever there is an event I organize, or maybe there are some other interesting events happening in the office, and we are giving some merch to my colleagues, I bring vegan books. I always have some budget from my manager, and then I promote some food-related books, not necessarily purely vegan focus, but talking about the food choices, healthier, more sustainable food choices from a broader perspective. And here, just to finish my part, are 3 very helpful resources that definitely help me, and I hope that's going to help you as well to be successful vegan in a workplace. So whenever I discuss with someone going vegan or launching more vegan-friendly initiatives in a workplace or for our B2C, B2B activations, I very often start with the Planetary Health Diet Report. I find it very inclusive because it not necessarily says we all need to go vegan, but it says that our diet should be predominantly plant-based. And then people are becoming more open to discuss the topic with me. Plus, it was prepared by scientists, not by me, in a very easygoing language. It covers all the topics from sustainability to health and the social issues we struggle with on a global basis, and is interesting to most of the people I talk to. Then I encourage my colleagues to download the Fork Ranger app. This is an amazing app from a Dutch startup, a gamification in sustainable food choices storytelling. Every day you have a quiz to answer about the food impact on the climate, on the planet, and then you get the dedicated recipe. It works similarly to Duolingo, so you need to log in every day and do the quiz, and many of my colleagues engage with that and really appreciate. And last but not least, a book that really helped me, and I definitely recommend everyone reading the book, is How to Argue with Meat Eater and Win Every Time by Ed Winters. It's already his 2nd book. Guy also runs the Instagram, YouTube, TEDx talk. You can find him online. And he's, for example, the next speaker I'm gonna host in my office in a few weeks, engaging my colleagues, educating them on public speaking, but also on vegan initiatives. And if you're interested in more insights and ideas of what you could do, I, of course, encourage you to follow our Vegan Leaders in Corporate Management group and LinkedIn page, because we post quite a lot. And if you're interested, you can connect with me directly on LinkedIn. I also post a few times a week with insights from conferences of what other brands are doing and what I've been launching in my office. Thank you so much.
Big thank you, Kasia. I hope between the 3 of us, there was at least one big idea that resonates with you today. So we are now going to once again break out into little groups just for a couple minutes. And we would like for you to just say hello to your group and share very briefly what your favorite big idea or takeaway from today was. And if you by chance had too many people in your group, and if you spoke a lot, please just give others the chance to speak first. But we should not have an issue. In your breakout group and got a chance to meet a few of other attendees. So we are now going to close it. I prepared a little inspirational slideshow, but there is music to go with it. Without music, it would be kind of lame. And with this web app, I hope it would work. Let me please do a very quick test. I'm going to pretend to share a screen, and just please tell me if you could hear a piece of music.
I heard something.
We could for a second, yeah. Now you on mute, Dorina.
Yeah, that's no problem. Looks like it's either or, but you heard like a little high pitch sound. Perfect. So we're gonna go with that because that's the point. All right, let me then get started.
Are we gonna dance? Is it like a vegan dance competition?
We could. All right. Were you able to see and hear everything? Great. Well, with that, we are at time. So please know we will be following up with you. We will share all of the materials, also some answers to the questions you post in the chat, and we are very excited to be in touch with you in the future. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Enjoyed it.
Thank you. That was great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Have a great day.